But if we made it here, then we made it.
That's 660 from their upcoming album Right Here, Right Now. And here is guitarist, bassist Marlon Gerbes to tell us all about the new record, their new drummer, and performing at a brand new venue, the New Zealand International Convention Center in Auckland, on February 13th. But first, we hear about the band's first music festival, Sweet Home Aotearoa, that brought roots and country together in January.
We used to dream so damn big, to be in a place that looks just like this.
That was really cool. The debut. It was our first time doing this festival thing, and I think it was really cool. Roots and country music together are a good match, and the artists themselves got on well. A few people who are really into hunting,
right?
Although they're hunting different animals, but they seem to share that. It was really cool.
And how hands-on were you guys as far as making that thing happen, the festival?
A fair bit. We put together the idea, the name, the kind of tone of it, the artists. So quite a bit.
Okay. And do you guys consider yourself kind of country and roots artists in some degree?
Definitely roots.
Yep.
We're definitely a roots artist. It's a genre we started off listening to and being inspired by back when we started. And the country element is something that we have incorporated subtly into the new album. So,
okay. Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, let's talk about the new album. I've heard it. It's called Right Here, Right Now. And of course, the big talking point about it is you recorded it live in the studio in like 3 days, right? So I'm wondering how much talking between the bandmates was there before this idea was hatched, and whose idea was it initially? Was there any reluctance, resistance, other thoughts?
Resistance, reluctance in terms of playing it live?
In doing it that way, yeah. Because I mean, you could do it. There are other options.
Yeah, I mean, roots was like really the big idea, going back to our roots in terms of the genre,
right?
And just back to playing as a band, and then once the songs were written and we heard the songs stripped back in an acoustic form, the lyrics and the kind of feeling of the music, it was just natural to do it live. I think it was honoring the music, the lyric, and the written songs. It was kind of a natural decision to make. Although like a bit of apprehension, because you can say that and then try it and it doesn't quite work.
Right.
But it didn't take long. It was like 3 takes in per song. We really felt like, yep. And our producer Malay was like, yeah, I think this is the move, and you guys, I'm confident that we can pull this off. So yeah, and we had 3 weeks kind of booked in the studio because we had no idea, whether or not we can pull it off, and we ended up doing it in 3 days. So we had quite a bit of time just to
you had some time off afterwards.
So, yeah.
It's incentive, isn't it?
Yeah. We kind of used it a little bit. Like we probably spent another week in the studio. And then we just like, okay, let's just get out of the studio. Went up to a nice place in Mangawai, and finished off like just the last little bits of the album.
Right. And of course, this is the first album you've done without Eli in the band, right?
Yes, yeah. So that's a big change, big energy shift in the band. That it took a while to find a new drummer, but we eventually found one who had always been kind of around drum teching, and we already knew him. And our sound tech, actually,
right,
Chris Tate, was like, "You should really check him out." And this guy called Damien, and he's amazing, and he's a bit of a star in the new album because he did all the drumming, and
right.
When you have a good backbone like that and a good foundation, it's pretty easy to play off. So yeah, it was really good.
So it's kind of throwing in a deep end, having the first thing he's doing is doing a live album in the studio, isn't it?
I know, and he was quite nervous, but it didn't take long. He's a Kiwi through and through, so once he gets his mind around it, number 8 wire it, just get into it. So he pulled it off really well.
And you mentioned Malay, who's the producer, is James Ho, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yes.
tell me about him and how that came to be that you hooked up with him.
Well, this was going back 2 albums ago. What is called the People's Album,
Right.
2019, I think it was, or 18. We released that album, and when we were creating that album, we're doing sessions over in America, and we did like a couple of weeks. And our very last day before coming back to New Zealand, we ended up getting in the studio with him. He's a bit elusive in terms of his like online presence, so we were like didn't know much about him. Only his catalog with Frank Ocean, which was like a reason we decided to try and get into a session with him. And yeah, we had pretty much what we thought was the album. And the last day we went in with him and we wrote The Greatest, one of our biggest songs. And it's quite a funny story, long story, but long story short, we had an album. we had an album that was like pretty much done. And then as soon as we done that session with Malay, we kind of thought maybe we should redo the whole album with him. So that's what we ended up doing.
Right.
We dropped like half the album that we had done and then created, pretty much 6 more songs with him, and he touched up the rest of the songs. So yeah, so that's where our relationship started, and he did Castle Street, the next album, and now this one.
Okay. And I noticed that most of the compositions are collaborative events, and one of the people that's part of that is Yellow Wolf. So I don't think you wrote. Do you write any of the songs on this album, or is it?
Not this album.
Yeah,
no.
I don't think so. But in general, I'm just curious as to why you approach going outside of the band to write, and why you go outside of New Zealand to do that.
Well, we always collaborate, and we always have with writers, especially lyricists.
Right.
And that's what Yellow Wolf is really good at.
Right.
So yeah, so we usually do sessions, in the modern sense, where a couple of us will go around the world and do sessions with writers and producers and collect a few songs, and then once we have what we think is the album, we record it. So this time around was a new way to do it. So Machu went to Nashville, and that's mainly because Malay, the producer, lives there.
Right.
And so Malay put together some writers that he would think would work, and Yellow Wolf was one of them. And yeah, never had really worked with him before, but we actually had worked with him. He wrote a song, Before You Leave, that is on our Castle Street album, and we hadn't met him, but it was sitting there, and Malay pulled it up, and we listened to it, and we made it our own. So that's where that relationship started. And then first time getting in the room was with Machu in Nashville, and a bunch of other writers too. So a lot of the writers were country naturally because they're from Nashville.
Right.
And so that's kind of where the country part of the album comes in.
Right.
And it was a cool process actually. Like, yeah, so Machu went away, did that, wrote like 12 songs, and we got sent back. So the band was involved in terms of writing the music. That's our strength.
Gotcha.
So we got sent back just an acoustic version of all the songs, and we all had the producer got us to each member to have a go at, throwing some music around on it.
Yep.
And that's kind of how the second phase of the album recording worked. So the first phase was just putting down the rhythm track and the bones of the song live.
Yep.
And then we brought in these things we had been working on individually and tried to tie them in.
Gotcha.
So it ended up being a very collaborative kind of band way eventually, but just the startings of it, the writing of it was done in Nashville.
Gotcha. And speaking of country in Nashville, I think did I hear a banjo on the title track on Right Here, Right Now?
No, that is actually that's an acoustic guitar that's been like EQ'd to sound like a banjo.
Okay, well, good job.
Yeah. None of us can play banjo, but
I was wondering about that.
There are ways you can kind of like play the acoustic to kind of make it sound like one. So
sure. Okay.
I think the thing that was Jai, he he could hear the country kind of vibe through the acoustic version, and he tried to kind of incorporate that kind of vibe in it.
Okay, all right. Well, one song I want to touch on is Father's Eyes, because if I had to pick one song that's kind of representative of the album, and it seems where you guys are at, it would be that one. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we're all fathers.
Yeah, all right. And
yeah, that song's a very special song. Machu just lyrically, I would just like to touch on the album. Like Machu really dug in and really kind of like put his kind of bird's eye view on and thought of the band and the lives of the band's members and everything. And yeah, he really touched on something great in that song, because we're all recently had kids.
Yep.
And I've got a 1.5-year-old. You probably heard in the background. Just got home.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that song is really touching, and it perfectly describes it's a loving kind of like perspective on being a father or being a parent in general. And the music, I remember these are a bunch of music that I did, guitar stuff that kind of sounds like a slide guitar.
Right.
That was my input on that song, and I really loved just listening to that instrumental. That song was very special.
Okay. And just parenthood in general, and the state of the band in general has got to be very different. You say you're kind of going back to your roots, but you're not the same people as you were 15, 20 years ago. Where are you?
Yeah, that's true. We're all fully encapsulated with parenthood, and it comes with its ups and downs, and it's definitely a different thing. Like when you're younger, you just had all the time in the world to kind of work on songs, but now you kind of got to pick and choose your time and work carefully and be a bit more kind of ordered
right.
in a way. So sometimes it can be hard, because sometimes creativity needs that kind of loose, kind of like all the time in the world kind of thing. But this time it wasn't that. And I think that's the reason why we did what we did when we sent Machu away, and he went to Nashville and did the songs, and we got them back and worked on them. I remember I had a little laptop set up with my electric guitar on my dinner table while I'm looking after my daughter,
right.
trying to like come up with some parts for all the songs. So, and I could only do 2 hours a day kind of vibe. And so, so we have to work around what we got. And it did take a little longer, to be honest, this album, because of that.
Right.
And it's just a whole different kettle of fish,
All right. And you got a gig coming up, kind of an album release gig, but at a brand new venue. So that's got to be fairly, how do you find that intimidating at all? I mean, you guys are old hands at this kind of thing, I imagine, by now, but still it's pretty important as far, like for the city of Auckland, to have this new convention center happening, and for you guys to be the first ones in there.
It's an amazing venue. We were surprised. You hear convention center and you think, like kind of corporate vibe, but it is actually a really amazing venue. Like the stage is huge. The rig is like, the lighting rig is like a stadium.
Right.
The first thing we thought was like, we could put on a stadium show, which we're looking at conceptually for this new album in terms of the show and the design of the show, is to kind of go back to that kind of vibe, because that's what this album kind of is alluding to. It's just like songs for the people, and imagining lots of people together sharing these songs, sharing the memories of these songs, and the lyrics are really touching. So the venue really is amazing, even from the audience's perspective. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to putting together like a brand new show, and there's a little bit of nervousness because we've been doing the grassroots thing for a long time now, kind of like stripped back, like barely no production, kind of very casual.
Right.
And we're going back to putting on a kick-ass show with like a full lighting and
right.
the whole experience. And yeah, we haven't. The other thing, we've been playing outdoors for like
right.
a year or two. So you kind of at the whim of like the natural lighting. You can't really like go black darkness. So being at this venue, which is inside we can really put on a kind of like a theatrical type show, and that's what we're designing right now. So looking forward to nervous, but looking forward to showing everyone that along with the new album, the old songs. We're trying to mix in both, which is a bit tricky too, because it's the album release, so we obviously have to play the album, but we also want it to be a show with the old songs as well. So we're trying to like figure out how to mix them together, and Yeah. Well, at least playing inside, you don't have to worry so much about the weather, because let's face it, it's been a little touchy here and there in Auckland and everywhere. It seems like. Tell me about it. What next? Yeah. One more song I want to touch on before we go. Red Mist. I think it's a favorite of mine on the record. So, what can you tell me about it? Is there anything to know? A backstory? Well, I think everyone knows someone in their family or friend group that just is a little loose on the liquor, right? And turns into a different person, but has a big heart. So that's kind of where the song comes from. And personally, it struck a chord because my dad, my father, he used to be that before he met my mother, but he was a very notorious figure in the gang kind of world, and he was very much, from the stories I heard, was very much like that. Right. And he had a big heart and stuff, and just when he got on the liquor, just turned into a different person. So that song is just about people like that, and just in general, just about people who have issues or have a background in something and dealing with stuff, and want to do good and want to change their life and point it in the right direction. And it's just a song about that journey, really. All right. Yeah. Very good. All right. Very cool. Well, I'm going to wrap it up. I'll let you go. What do you got planned? Now, is there a lot of rehearsing going on between now and the 13th, or what's filling up your time? Yep, there is. We're having a kind of a run through today with just the band, acoustic guitars. Right. And then next week, we're actually doing a live recording of the album at a studio, which will be cool. Oh. And then rehearsals the week after. So we got full dress rehearsals at the venue of the week of the show. So let's all go now. If you enjoyed this episode of the 13th Floor's Music Talk series, please be sure to subscribe to the website or to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram and wherever you find your podcasts. There's a whole lot more to discover.